Do you want to know how to write a killer customer email? In this video, we're going to show you how, but first we need to recognize that email has two purposes, both communication and documentation. In fact, sometimes the primary goal of using email can be documenting a situation and your response. Now, with that said, I recommend that you always look at email first as a form of communication, even if your goal is documentation, because that's how the customer receives it. And as such, the principles of communication are important. So let's go through a few important aspects of communicating with customers via email. Most of these will apply to any customer communication, but will be even more important when working with challenging customers. So first thing is, put in the work. Make sure that the email gets the effort it deserves. Make sure the effort matches the stakes. There's a balance between brevity and thoroughness, but when the stakes are high, you'll often need to put in the work to write a more thorough, longer email. The put in the work idea also refers to things like proofreading each email, being careful about blind copying and copying, being careful about forwarding long email chains, and not checking or verifying what is in the chain earlier that may be not appropriate for the person you are forwarding it to see. The challenge with email in difficult situations is it really does take time and effort. A good tone is essential. What tone should you strike in an email, formal versus informal? Well, your industry will obviously have a lot to do with this. Your company's culture will also impact this. Generally, you should use plain language and not be overly formal in most one-to-one communication, where there is some sort of direct connection or personal relationship. So, conversational is okay. Overly familiar is not. You shouldn't sound like a lawyer or a robot. Not that those two things are the same. But you also shouldn't sound like you're at a baseball game with your buddies or at movie night with your friends. Watch out for jargon. There's a very big tendency to use jargon-like internal acronyms in emails, particularly templated emails. If you are in charge of scripting those, it's something to be aware of. As I mentioned in my book, Be Your Customer's Hero, jargon is a wall between you and your customer. Response time is crucial in email, particularly if you're in a service role or working with customers. Now, let's be real. Many of us may struggle with response times in our general business lives and personal lives, controlling our inboxes, so to speak. But with customers, like every channel, expectations are key to understanding what response times are appropriate in your business and your organization. Use names and courtesy. There is a big tendency to skip on courtesy in emails. Obviously, context is important. You don't need to start with hi blank, best regards, if you're going back and forth about calendar times, and you're now on the sixth email in the 3-minute period. But initial emails should contain these formalities, especially when working with customers. Even for the short, quick response emails, there is a way to use names and courtesy. Appreciate that Jill, blah, blah, blah. Sincerely. Just remember that while it may feel casual, your language always has an impact on the listener, even if only subconscious. For saving time, use templates. While you do not want canned responses, you can absolutely use templates and should have templates for common emails you use. The key with templates is not misusing them, don't forget what's in them, and make sure you proofread the final product to make sure that there is nothing in a template that is inappropriate for the situation you're communicating about. Okay, let's ramp it up a notch and talk about more challenging situations. Two of the biggest challenges with email are presenting difficult information and contending with information overload and the customer's attention. Let's begin by discussing the structure of emails because structure is the piece that often gets overlooked when communication experts discuss email strategies and tactics. Aside from the content itself, structure is the most important consideration when crafting a high-stakes email. For example, when you have bad news, you generally want to use the sandwich technique. Stick the negative information in the middle when appropriate. Next, use the technical capabilities of your email client. The reality is that the great majority of people who are reading their email are doing it on a smartphone or a computer system that has what's called HTML email. And that basically means it's not plain text. It has links, colors, boldface, fonts, and so on. You have formatting options to design your emails. Use them. Here are some techniques I use to help people to both remember what's in an email and to not miss what's important. The reality is almost everyone gets too many emails. If you can send a shorter email, that's great. Even with shorter emails, formatting is important. But if you must send a longer email, it is crucial that you structure it well and that you use formatting to deliver the information well and to point to the information that you do not want the customer to miss. So use colors, use boldface, use bullets, use structure, use headings. Organize long emails into visual presentations. Ironically, this does not take much more time than just writing out long paragraphs. Just like outlining a book or a big project, creating a structure for a longer email saves you time in the long run. Also, a note about using all caps. All caps is great for headings. One of the reasons it's great for headings is that if the formatting does get lost, which can happen in a small percentage of situations when a person receives only a plain text email, the caps will retain their character and still give some structure even in plain text. Overall, our goal is to make the email skimmable for key information and to make sure that the most important information stands out. Finally, always be aware of the possibility of misinterpretation or misunderstanding. Be careful how the words will be received in print, without tone of voice, without all of the human signals that get lost in the digital format. Don't assume the customer will interpret the email the way you think they will. Use language that makes sure of it. Now, all of this can seem like a lot of work, and it can be. However, the effort you put into these communications, particularly the first email, is an investment in preventing misunderstanding and preventing escalation, all of which will save you time in the long run. If you want to learn more about how to communicate more effectively with customers and turn your team into customer heroes, make sure to check out our Rapid Hero virtual training courses at customersthatstick.com.